And we are live, and it's Wednesday night. Hope you guys are having a good week. Go ahead and run it down tonight in the AMA. Had a DM earlier today that I wanted to touch on just before we get going here. We got a few people already in the chat. Appreciate you guys running it up with the great questions as you usually do. So hopefully we see some price appreciation. We got RUSD going live tomorrow on the XRPL. At least that's been what the stated outlook is. There was a couple parties that published within 48 hours that RUSD would go live about 24 hours ago. So, just expecting, Ripple tends to do things on Thursdays. Most of the court case rulings have happened on Thursdays for whatever reason. So, I'm hoping that we get some movement with RUSD tomorrow. If, you are going to cash out of XRP for whatever reason, if we did see some price appreciation, liquidity move in because of the launch of the stablecoin, then I think that is probably the best solution to do so. For what I'm seeing, it is listed on Coinbase and Kraken and Uphold and most of the large exchanges, BitTrue, Bitstamp. In the Zum wallet, you also have access to, well, it's not Zum anymore, it's Exam or Xman, whatever you want to call it. You have access to that stablecoin, which is going to be rolled out by Ripple on the EVM sidechain and on Ethereum. So excited to see that go live. I think that that's going to be huge for the XRPL to have a stablecoin native to the network. And I think it's just going to be the first in a line of many, many, many stablecoins and CBDCs that are issued on the XRPL. Mainly on the EVM sidechain or on hooks. I think we're going to be the main two side chains that people would issue stable coins on. I know that we had some conversations with a group last year that's close to Weedsay, and there were a lot of conversations being had with international entities about issuing their CBDCs on hooks versus the EVM sidechain. So but irrespective of either one, you could settle through XRP, which is what I think people want. And then also, you guys know that we partner with R3 on some things, and I'm highly confident that they've also had a lot of conversations with institutions, enterprises, and governments also issuing their stablecoin or their CBDC. So, whichever avenue people choose, I think that they will still likely settle through XRP. For all those different applications between counterparties over the main net there. So excited to see that. I do think that that's going to be a game changer for the XRPL. You've seen how Tether has really inflated Bitcoin's price, especially over the last, really 4 or 5 years here. 2020, Bitcoin got all the way back down to 3,000, and now we're back over 100,000. Where are we at on Bitcoin here? Yeah, 101, 240, 284. Back up today, which is nice to see for everybody that owns that. Dipped back under 100,000 there for a little bit and back up again. So I think the market as a whole is had a big flush there, and now everything's moving to the upside. Excited to see that. I know that people, the new people that have come in, and this is another point that people have made to me here recently. There are a lot of new people moving into the market, which I think is awesome. I think there's probably a lot of new people here on TikTok and also here on YouTube that may have found me recently through whatever means. And the tip that was made to me is that I speak a little bit too high level for new people sometimes. So I'm going to try to reel it in a little bit tonight and not dumb down the information, but speak to things in a bit simpler fashion so that if you are new, you can, maybe relate a little easier or understand things. Try not to use acronyms or verbiage that's specific to crypto. People that, have been here for a long time would know what those things meant. but people that are new to the space might not have any kind of clue. Right, so I'm just going to do a little bit better job of providing context on here for people that may be new to the space, that may have found me recently, and try to do a little bit better job on that. So without further ado, we'll go ahead and hop into it. Again, Wednesday night AMA, anything to do with estate planning, mitigating taxes, earning revenue with your assets, safeguarding your assets, all that's fair game, and then things for me as well. So we'll go ahead and hop into it. The old man of XRP, he says, "Hey there, Jake. For someone who's older than dirt, I mean the old man of XRP. I don't think you're older than dirt, but if you are the old man, then own it. Would you suggest a trust over an LLC? Thank you, you young whippersnapper. Get off my lawn." It all just depends on your life and where you are and the amount of assets that you hold. So just for simple terms, when people get a net worth north of $500,000 to $750,000, it's when you might start looking at a trust of some kind. Oftentimes, the way that I break this down for people that may be new here, a living trust is what most trust attorneys will suggest. Often those are filed in whatever state you live in. Or jurisdiction, depending on where you live in the world. And they may be revocable or irrevocable. Irrevocable tends to have better tax benefits. Revocable, obviously, you get a little bit more freedom with. You can change the beneficiaries. You can do some things, whereas irrevocable, kind of set in stone. That type of trust would be best used for the home that you live in, the cars that you drive, the things that you use, your toys, your heirlooms, gold and silver, those types of things would be best suited for a living trust. Digital assets are a little bit different animal. If they're not overly valuable and you don't anticipate that they're going to go up significantly in this next bull run, then a living trust might be okay for your digital assets. However, I would say the majority of our clients, and you probably want to know cost. Cost of a living trust could be anywhere from as low as $1,500 if you just did bare bones and really kind of cheaped out, all the way up to maybe $5,000. It's kind of a reasonable cost range for a living trust. The majority of our clients use a asset protection trust, and that's often filed in a state where you get attorney-client privilege. So those would be, South Dakota, Nevada, Wyoming, Delaware. There's some other places globally like Nevis, Jordan, Switzerland, the Cook Islands. All those places are going to help you kind of maintain anonymity and privacy. But here domestic in the U.S., we often use Wyoming because it is the most progressive state when it comes to digital assets. It gives you the attorney-client privilege. Cost of maintaining an entity there is very reasonable and low in comparison to some of the other states, and it does not have any state tax specific to that state. So that's where we file the majority of the trusts we do for our clients. The cost range there is somewhere between, again, like bare bones, might see as low as $15,000, depending on which group you work with, all the way up to $25,000 or $30,000 if you got bells and whistles and an LLC inside of there as a credit chassis. And when I say a credit chassis, that means you can use that LLC for lines of credit at the bank. Just again, trying to provide color and context for people that may be new and haven't heard these terms before. So, again, I would look more at the total value of your assets and where you think the value is going versus your age. Trusts are really great for probate. So even aside from, setting up life insurance policies and mitigating taxes and some of the other strategies that we employ, if your assets are not in a trust and they are passed to your heirs, they're likely going to have to go through probate in whatever state you reside in. And those assets, as they're transferred to your heirs, are going to become public record. So if you want to maintain anonymity for them and you have considerations around that, then it is a really good idea to set up at least some type of trust for your assets. And I would work with an attorney to do that. I wouldn't try to cheap out and use LegalZoom or any of these things online. If you are, trying to help your children or your beneficiaries, whoever you're leaving those assets to, it's worth spending the money. So I know, that probably didn't answer your question the way that you wanted it. But, those are really the considerations that you might have. You might have cost, the total value of your assets, what you're moving into a trust, and where you live. And there's probably some other ones there as well. So appreciate you guys again hanging out with me over here on TikTok and on X, as well as YouTube, running it down on a Wednesday night. Conservative asset class. This is not crypto. Says, hi, Jake. By 2025, doesn't that also mean before the end of 25, not necessarily the 25, beginning of 25, CEO of SBI about the use case of XRP. You missed my super chat last live. I'm so sorry. Thank you for reminding me, and I apologize I missed it. I try to do my best to catch those, and I will, just apologize for that. Same question. By 2025 means in 2024. That's what that means. It doesn't mean by some time in 2025 or by the end of 2025. His specific words were by the year 2025. So for those that don't know who Yoshitaka Kitao is, or SBI, or why this matters, again, I'm just going to give some people color and context here if you are new. So Yoshitaka Kitao was the financial advisor to the previous prime minister of Japan that was murdered or removed prior to the current sitting prime minister in Japan. He is president of SBI, which is one of the largest financial institutions in Japan and Southeast Asia as a whole. SBI has a 10% stake in Ripple and also in R3. Very well connected. They also have deep ties to XDC and that network. And again, Yoshitaka Kitao has mentioned that, he wanted I think it was the Olympics there in China to, basically had to pay an XRP. That didn't happen. But he's also said that, by 2025, all of the banks in Japan will be using XRP to settle between them. So for someone in that position to say those words, it carries a lot of weight, in my opinion. And for them to have vested interest in the companies that they do, they also have a very vested interest in the success of XRP. And I do think Japan really is the key to the whole thing unraveling. All they got to do is raise interest rates. If they raise interest rates 50 basis points, the reverse carry trade unwinds, and we've got all these dominoes set up, ready to go, basically to roll out, collapse the previous financial system and roll in the new one to be able to stabilize things and save it. So Japan holds the key to all this, and for SBI's CEO, Yoshitaka Kitao, to say by 2025 that's going to happen, I believe him. So that gives them about 3 weeks here to pull the trigger on this thing and get it going. Now that you have RUSD, again, I think that you're, just one step closer to that happening. And again, I appreciate your patience and, just you reiterating the question here if I did miss your super chat. And he also says, we all understand by 2025 as before January 1st of 2025. You got it. Let's see. Do we have anything over here on TikTok just as we get going? Appreciate Brooke for hanging out over here. If you guys don't follow her, she is in the chat over here on TikTok. Really good information there. She was in a documentary with me for XRP Unleashed, rigged from the start. If you guys haven't seen that, I would encourage you to go check it out. It is on Amazon, and you can also get it off of their website there. Chris and his wife put that documentary together, and they talk about the Ethereum Alliance and all the things that have to do with Ripple and the lawsuit with the SEC over the past 4 years. And they put together a really compelling evidence-based documentary around who's involved and why, what motive they would have had to give Ethereum a free pass, and really kind of hold XRP and its adoption back over the last 4 years. This question is, they say, hey, Jake, do you think the wallets holding 0 to 100,000 XRP are retailers? If that is the case, then retail hold about 9 billion XRP, which is much more than the 1 to 2 billion you mentioned. I'd have to look at well, you know what? We'll pull it up here. We'll do a little math while we're on the live here. So if you guys want to go check this out, you got richlist.info. Francis Bovine runs this. If you guys don't know him over there on Twitter, I would encourage you to go follow him. So we got let's see here. Current statistics. We have 0 to 20. There is 24 million XRP. So we'll just do some math here while we've got it going. We've got between 10,000 tokens and less in a wallet. You have about 2 billion there. Anything less than 20 in a wallet, so that 24 million that's locked up, it's just going to be people that opened a wallet address and then never did anything with it or moved their assets out of it. They did recently lower the reserve required for a wallet. So you could go back, you know, if you got some extra wallets laying around, you want to move some XRP, you could do that. You know, it used to be 20 as the reserve, and then it was 10, and now it's even lower than that. So, you know, if you got something on Atomic Wallet, might be time to move it off there. After their recent comments, I don't know if you guys saw that on Twitter or not. So you get 20 to 500, you get 186,000. Nope, sorry, that's million, 186 million XRP sitting for that amount. 500 to 1,000, you got 143 million there. 1,000 to 5,000, you've got 1 billion-ish. So now we're at 1.2, to your point. 5 to 10,000, we've got another almost a billion. So we'll go ahead and just roll it up to 2 billion there. 10,000 to 25,000, you've got 2.2 billion. So we're at 4.2 billion. 25,000 to 50,000, we've got 2.1 billion. So that gives you what, 6.3 billion. 50 to 75, we got 1.5. So we've got 7.8 billion. And then to your point, 75 to 100,000 is another close to a billion. So yeah, I mean, that's going to be round it to 9, like you said. It's a good point that you make. I hadn't really done the math on this. It's not necessarily retail that's holding that, but it definitely would be a large portion of it, right? Especially in cold wallets. There are a total of, what do we got now? Almost 5.7 million wallets on the XRPO. So, yeah, I guess that would be around that amount. You've also got Ripple employees, so you have to think about that. You may have other people that got in early on the token sale. You also have lost wallets, right? So you have, just same way with Bitcoin, people that may have got their XRP early and moved it to a paper wallet or something else off of an exchange. There's going to be a portion of that XRP that's not redeemable and hasn't been moved in a long time. We unfortunately had a client of ours send about 5,000 XRP to a Zum wallet that hadn't moved anything in 5 years and couldn't get it back, couldn't get the other person to respond. Sad situation. But I think that there are going to be some keys and assets that are lost there. I don't know what percentage of that makes up. There is, I mean, I know retail holders that hold 7 and 8 digits. So it's not just specifically, retail that are holding these smaller amounts. But to your point, I do think it would primarily be retail that's doing that. So maybe I need to reassess. Let me do some more calculations on that. I appreciate you bringing it to my attention. the reason I say the amount that I do is I had a conversation with Simon, who is the CEO of Uphold. And if anybody's going to know how much retail holds, I think that they probably know. And it's probably increased since that conversation, just honestly. We sat down and had whiskey 16 months ago. So it's been a bit. I mean, actually, we probably have another 1.2 million wallets that have been opened in that time frame. I think it was around four and some change at the time. So there's a lot of retail that has moved in here that didn't exist when we had that conversation. And in that conversation, we went over, he asked me specifically how much XRP I thought sat on exchanges and in retail's hands. And I said, just based on the wallets and everything that I had been looking at the time, I thought somewhere between 5 and 6 billion. And he said, yeah, that's about right. And I'm like, you would know, I don't know why you're asking me the question, but apparently, I felt validated in his response. And at the time I thought, maybe 3 to 4 billion of that probably sat on exchanges. And the rest of it sat with retail. So, but, to your point here and the total amounts that are listed here on the rich list, again, that's richlist.info. If you guys want to go check that out. It'll tell you, what percentage you sit in based on how much you hold and all those things. It does look like retail may hold a larger portion of XRP now than they did previously. And so appreciate you again bringing that to my attention. Atlantic Living says, tuned in Monday to the show. Topics, BTC, ETH, Sol, SUI, Render, AVAX, etc. They say that ISO 2022 didn't know nothing and it's a waste to invest. Why do you believe such strong opinions discrediting these projects? Not to say that, Render or AVAX or some of the other ones aren't going to have utility. BTC, Sol, ETH, and SUI. SUI's had a hell of a year, right? So people have made a ton of money there. Sol, same way, a lot of money, a lot of liquidity has moved on to that network with meme tokens and a lot of what's been done there. ETH and BTC obviously have a lot of liquidity in those. They're the first and second highest market cap in crypto. I don't know what's going to happen on the other side of regs is my concern, and Tether is my other concern. I think ETH has a lot of headwinds with potential lawsuit that's going to be levied against them because of the allegations and some of the things that have been uncovered over the past 5 years here from Bill Hinman and other things that have happened at the SEC. I think that we have a new, not a new SEC chair. But Paul is coming back to the SEC. I think that he's going to right a lot of wrongs that have happened. I think that they may restructure the agency in some capacity or provide more transparency on how things are done based on a lot of the things that have transpired. And with that, I think ETH may actually end up being regulated as security. I personally think it's a security. I think anything that's pure proof of stake where you're putting up collateral in anticipation of returns based on another party's actions meet all the prongs of the Howey test and should be designated as security. BTC, commodity, I think is a fair designation for that. My concern with BTC is Tether, realistically. Sol, Solana, obviously there's been a lot of adoption of that network just for, the speed of transactions and the low cost and latency on that network. However, it's down frequently. And with that, any institutional use cases, Microsoft and the like, they're not going to be putting things on that blockchain because of that they require such a stringent uptime for all their stuff. Even when we had the fall of Microsoft products earlier this year, that's the first time that's happened in a long time. Like they're so stringent that they require that, it's like 3 seconds a year that their networks can be down. Like that's their tolerance on stuff. So for Sol to be down hours and days at times, it's just not going to be an enterprise use case choice. Retail, sure, you could still have a lot of retail action over there on the network. Sui, I don't know enough about. To be honest with you, like I said, I've seen the price appreciation. There's a lot of talk about it being adopted for payments at scale in some use cases. I haven't taken the time to check it out yet. I've been so busy with other things. So it's difficult for me to say yes, no, or otherwise on that one. Render, I do think, has a significant use case. I think that repurposing Bitcoin compute and GPU and the mining farms for other things aside from mining Bitcoin will become more and more prevalent over time, especially if a quantum computer does break the 256-bit encryption, which, here just recently that's become a topic of conversation. But, I've been talking about that for a long time. You could have a quantum computer mine the rest of the Bitcoin in a week if there was enough qubits. We've got the Willow chip. There's a lot of things that are progressing very quickly, and I think that and there's really only there's 19.8 million Bitcoin that have been mined. So that leaves you 1.2 million BTC that are unmined. It's supposed to go to 2124 or 2142. Would be when the last BTC would be mined if the algorithm ran all the way out. I don't think it's going to last that long. I think there's definitely going to be something that mines all the BTC for what's left in a very short period of time, and then it'll just be wrapped as collateral on other networks. But that's a lot of GPU and compute that has been built out over the past 15 years here to be able to mine the Bitcoin, and I think that'll get repurposed for Render and AI and other blockchains or applications that come along and can, make a profit with that infrastructure. AVAX, I think that they have a lot of applications that can be built there. I know that they have grants. If you guys are looking to build on that network in particular, you got Ava Labs that are, I've seen them put out $5 million worth of AVAX to people for bringing value onto that network. I do think that the smart contracts there will be used in a lot of different applications. As far as price appreciation, it's already a fairly high price token. Just depends on the application that it gets adopted for. I don't know. It's like Cardano for me. Avalanche and Cardano are both great technology. I just don't see which niche or where they're going to fit and what value proposition they're going after. I like Chili's, which is crazy to say, but they've gone after specifically NFTs for sports teams, right? Cool, pick your lane and stick and go in it, right? I think that there's value there. I don't know what it ends up being, but I like that they've picked a niche and they've stuck to it. So not saying any of those, projects are discredited or, I just think that there's some significant headwinds for a few of those in comparison to other networks. And I'm here for ROI. Raw Pal has his opinions, I think you should listen to him as well as me. There's a lot of other people out here that are extremely intelligent, that I listen to and often have ulterior or alternative opinions to myself that I try to, go back and forth with. So I think that, HVAR, Algorand, XLM, XDC, XRP, Quant, a lot of these, what you mentioned, ISO 20022 compliant tokens are going to be used in the banking infrastructure and to move value. And that's what I see as the highest ROI and value proposition for blockchain in particular. Got a lot of people over here on TikTok tonight. Appreciate you guys hanging out. He says, Jake, any other projects other than XRP and XLM that you are mega bullish on? HBAR. I would actually pick HBAR over XLM as far as how bullish I am on that. Again, just one man's opinion. It's not financial advice, for educational and entertainment purposes only. Let's see here. Crater 2116 says, Jake, with the approval of RLUSD, do you think New York will lift restrictions for New York residents to use Caleb Brown? No. They're very stringent about the bit license. They're in New York. What I would do if I were in New York is set up an LLC in Wyoming and move my assets in there, and I would get a VPN that would broadcast from close to my address or my registered agent or my virtual office in Wyoming, and I would use that to purchase things on another exchange or transact with those assets. I know that the KYC KYB looks through the entity to the individual there at some of the exchanges. Not sure if that's relevant at Caleb and Brown or not. I don't think that they would have a problem. I know domestic here in the US, if you try to use some specific exchanges and they don't have a bit license in New York, they will restrict your ability to transact on their platform, even if you're using a VPN. But I don't believe that's the case for Caleb and Brown. New York just makes it tough for anybody, right? But again, establishing an LLC in Wyoming, it gives you that separation, and you can transact under the name of that business, especially if you did have a virtual office there in Wyoming that you used for your mail and your address. Let's see here. We've got upon greater price appreciation, Michael, if I don't already have an LLC set up, can I set one up through DWP and still reap the tax mitigation benefits? Will the IRS allow the LLC to be grandfathered in? Doesn't quite work like that. So you would, depending on what type of entity you set up, you're when you're moving the assets into the LLC, you're trading them for the equity in the LLC is what you're doing. But you're still the manager. You still have full control. It's manager or member managed, right? It's a single member LLC in most circumstances. And you want to do it that way so that you don't have any tax consequences. You don't want to set up a limited partnership or some other type of entity, because then capital contributions can be you could realize capital gains on those when you make the contribution in exchange for the equity. We've seen some appreciation. So again, just encourage people to do a single member LLC. And if you do want to add people to the cap table of your LLC, I would do it after, and I would do it by gifting them a small portion of the equity units in the LLC, and not in exchange for a capital contribution from them. So could you set it up after? You could, but at that point, you're probably going to want to set up a trust also. And yeah, I mean, you could still do it and still gift some equity units to other people on the cap table and get the reduction in the valuation. You're not grandfathered in though, right? And doing it beforehand, you can go ahead and get the accounts set up on exchanges in the name of the LLC, the bank accounts set up to be able to take profit and then use those profits, especially if we had something at the end of the year here happen and you wanted to take profits here in 2024. All those seconds matter. Those days matter when you're setting stuff up. If your tax year is going to end on December 31st and you're going to take profit this year, might be in a pickle to be able to deploy that capital or do something with it to be able to mitigate the taxes. If you are setting an LLC up this late in the year, it might be a good idea when you file or form the entity to set your tax year as September 31st instead of December 31st, which a lot of companies do, right? And once every 10 years, you get the ability to change that. You can file a form with the IRS and move your tax year. So if you already have an LLC established and we do see price appreciation here at the end of the year and you do take profits and you want more time to be able to figure out the best solution to be able to mitigate those taxes if there's long-term capital gains on your crypto, you can file that form here at the end of the year with the IRS and backdate your tax year to September 31st, and then you're going to get another 10 months basically into 2025 to figure out, okay, how do I spend this money, or what do I do in order to be able to offset the taxable income or the capital gains that I have from selling these assets here in December of 2024. So the answer is yes, but it just depends on your situation. Again, a lot of people I think are going to be better suited for a trust on the other side of price appreciation versus an LLC, but in a lot of circumstances, having an LLC outside of your trust is also an advantage. I would speak with your estate planner or your business attorney. Sweet Potato 2 says, hey, Jake, when the domino theory takes place and Tether gets sanctioned, could that temporarily cause the price of XRP to go down significantly before it gets adopted and goes up like crazy? When there's so the prerequisite, like, I know when people ask this, they're like, I think I could buy it lower, is really the kind of the gist of the question. The answer is absolutely. You could see a drawdown across the entire market if Tether were to get sanctioned and liquidity were to dry up or be frozen. If exchanges were to become illiquid, that would make it very difficult to transact at all. Like, they're going to lock it down. They're not going to be performing trades. They're not going to be doing anything if that happens, if and when that happens. Okay. So I'm not chancing that. That's up to you. You know, if you want to put in some limit orders, depends on the size of the limit orders that you're trying to buy, I guess, would be the deal. So USDC, I don't know if you guys have ever traded USDC and XRP. The volume on that, is going to be somewhere between $5,000 and $10,000 per price point. So you're going to have a lot of slippage if you're trying to move a larger amount of USD or USDC into XRP. Not to say that you can't do it and it wouldn't execute, but I would have multiple limit orders set for that transaction and just know that some of them aren't going to get met when that happens. I would rather just be hold it in a cold wallet or institutional custody, and know that I'm here for the ride and not have to worry about trying to time the volatility or a platform being able to execute a trade, or calling Caleb and Brown and getting them to source that liquidity in the moment. I'm sure that they're going to be inundated with people. So that's up to you. I do think that there is going to be some volatility and there is potential for significant downside. I just don't know what the likelihood of your purchasing capabilities are going to be at that time. We've got Eric. He says, when the domino theory takes place, and could that cause the price to go up to something like 3 digits, 600 plus, or is that way too high? And if so, could this happen very soon? To get to that level, it could be. So if you look at Shane Ellis's theory, he talks about just one exchange becoming illiquid and utilizing XRP to be able to facilitate their trade volume. Depends on the supply that's on the market when that takes place, and the volume of trades that need to be executed, and the liquidity that's required. If there's a short squeeze on XRP because we get a launch of ETFs and there's a liquidity crisis, I think you could actually realistically see something at those price levels, which again sounds crazy to most people, but when you have a crazy amount of demand and almost no supply, that's when the price of something moves significantly higher. I think that that's quite possible. So, I do think that could happen soon. The SEC has said that they're stalling, approving any ETFs until after the inauguration and the new SEC chair moves in and Gary steps down. The only way that I think that could happen is if you saw BlackRock kind of throw their weight around and push for an ETF, similar to how they did on the BTC ETF. I think that they could probably force the hand of the SEC and get them to move a little bit sooner. And old Gare Bear might change his tune before he's out the door here. Be really interested if it was close to 4 years after the original lawsuit was filed. We're coming up on that here in the next week. You've also got the 4-year anniversary of the Flare snapshot. I think it was actually today. I think it was 12 midnight UTC time a couple hours ago. So anyway, yeah, I think it's a possibility, but you're going to have like the perfect storm for that to happen, which, could happen. Let's see here. Over here on TikTok, we've got Thursday, so soon. Do you think RUSD goes live on Friday when Tether gets delisted from exchanges in Europe? I think RUSD goes live tomorrow, and then Tether gets delisted from exchanges in Europe. Specifically, Coinbase is really the only announcement I've seen, but I'm confident that there's going to be others as well. There's a lot of them that have already delisted Tether in Europe because of MiCA and the regulations there. Jordan says, can you explain why XRP needs to be a high price point to work properly? Mikkel did a video today, and the XRPL moved $1 billion transaction for less than a penny. So why must XRP be so high? The higher the price of the XRP, the less XRP you need to move that value. So David Schwartz has done a lot of threads on this, but if you go back and check out his Twitter feed, there's a famous quote by David that says, if you want to move $1 million in XRP and it's $1, you would need 1 million XRP to do that. If XRP was $1 million, then you would need 1 XRP to do that. So that's kind of the deal, right? The code is really built out to operate at scale to move value around $10,000 a piece. When there's enough liquidity in the asset, and that's the price point, I think it'll be a very high price, close to stablecoin. I don't think it'll ever be exactly stable because it needs to be dynamic to be able to meet demand and new volume or value moving over the network as the use cases get expanded and more people tap in for liquidity and liquidity pools and AMMs and they build out other use cases on the network using the DEX. So yeah, I mean, you can currently move a lot of value for very low price. But as XRP, increases in value, it would just take a lot less XRP to move the same amount of value. And if banks are holding XRP or using XRP for that, they're going to want to send less of the asset itself over the network at a time. So again, I would just go check out David Schwartz's page. And if you can look for something similar to that quote, or you can put it in Google, I'm confident that you'd be able to find it. Matty B, what's up, man? He says, hey, Jake, I'm interested in getting an LLC set up. I know the LLC would hold my crypto wallet, but does the LLC have to have a specific primary means of business? So it is a holding company. The NAICS code for the LLCs that we file for people, we have 2 of them that we use. Both of those, the first one is 551112, and the last one is 551114. If you want to look those up, basically a holding company that holds assets and allows you to, invest them, do things with them, and that is the purpose of the company, and that's how it makes money. If you look at, there was a tweet by Doge, the Department of Government Efficiency, and their Twitter the other day that talked about exactly that. When you come into a lot of money, you should set up an LLC as a front and to be able to use the full breadth of the tax code and be able to deploy that capital and use be able to write off travel and your vehicle and a lot of other expenses that you would normally not as an individual. Linda P. Jones over here on TikTok. It's not actually Linda P. Jones, but this individual says her name and then said that the IMF has already agreed upon a price in alliance between banks in the thousands. I don't know if you're listening to Verson or Vandel about that. Maybe, Ripple did meet with the IMF in 2017 before they created the escrow. They've got programmatic sales. They've got pre-negotiated contracts. There's over 1,700 NDAs that were, talked about in the lawsuit. I would love to see who those NDAs were with. I'm confident that they are Bank of America, Amazon, Google, Microsoft, Apple, every large corporation or enterprise globally, Airbnb, anybody that sends international payments or remittance, I think, likely is going to issue a stablecoin and be utilizing the XRP to be able to settle those transactions and swap between currencies so that they don't have to hold currencies in multiple jurisdictions and tie that capital up like they do now with Nostro Vostro accounts. Just a lot of efficiencies that could be gained by that. McDonald's also, I think, is probably a Ripple partner. We'll see. But yeah, as far as a pre-negotiated price, if they are going to use it to settle global debt, which I think BlackRock may be working to do, and I think that they may have been involved a lot longer and in a lot larger capacity than most people understand, then yeah, but the way that they get there is going to be through a, I don't want to say an orchestrated, but like some type of catalyst. The domino theory that I put forth, I think makes a lot of sense. And they could use that as a supply shock on exchanges, and then dump a bunch of demand onto the market at the same time to push price to high levels. And then once it's there, be able to use the asset to start settling these transactions on private side chains or private ledgers that are attached to the mainnet. And boom, there you go. You'd have price stability at a high price for the asset, which is what I do think the intent is. And that would also offset debts on balance sheets, right? So that's the other piece of that, and why it would be valuable for, if banks and the IMF did agree on something like that, that might make sense. We just talked about that one. Go ahead and scroll on down here. Let's see if we got any super chats from anybody. Oh, there's one. I missed it. I missed one apparently the other night, and I do apologize again. Alfredo, hola! What's going on, brother? He says, nice fade. Thank you. Got it cut this morning. He says, hair looks good. Appreciate that. Looking forward to using your services. My 10-year-old says hi. Hey, little man. What's going on? He's watching with me and wants to invest in XRP. That's awesome, man. Yeah. My son, we talk about it a little bit. I'll just kind of step aside for a second and talk about that. My parents talked about money a lot in my house, but it was always negative. They never talked about, my dad talked about investing some. His deal was just put it in the S&P 500 and set it and forget it. The reality of that is it just keeps up with inflation. When you put your money in the stock market or in real estate, you're not gaining real returns. It's just keeping up with whatever inflation is happening. So you're parking that cash somewhere that it's going to retain its purchasing power at the time that you parked it there. In order to get real returns, you need to outpace inflation, which is not going to happen in an index, or you might find pockets of real estate. But real estate, if you're in a REIT or an asset class as a whole and you're diversified across it, you're not going to get a whole lot of alpha on that. So anyway, I would just encourage you to talk positively about money in your home with your children. If you do have them, let them know that it is abundant. It literally gets printed. There's billions of dollars floating around the world for everybody to go get. All you have to do is create value for other people, and do that in a way. If you can help people at scale or create something, or do something at your company that makes them a lot of money, you can get a piece of that pie. There's a lot of different ways to make a lot of money. It's not scarce. That's one of the things that, my parents said, money doesn't grow on trees. It absolutely does. They have a money printer. They print more of it every day, it seems like. So I would just encourage you to, instill an abundance mindset in your children and let them know that if they're willing to work hard and help other people, that the money's out there to get, and it's not, money's not a bad thing. It's just a tool. Let's see here. Rich List is great, but it's only wallets on chain. At the top, you'll see wallets with millions of coins, and some of these belong to centralized exchanges, which hold many more retail accounts. Yeah. So they technically own those tokens. If you're holding your assets on an exchange and you don't have the keys or the signing capability, and it's not bankruptcy remote, if it's commingled in one of those wallets like you mentioned, yeah, you don't own that. It is in their wallet. They own it and they owe it back to you, just like a bank. When you hold your assets in a bank, you are a creditor of the bank, and you are actually very low on the totem pole to get paid back if they go bankrupt. Exchanges are the same way. We've seen that with Voyager and Celsius and all these others. FTX, right? You still got creditors that are going after that. I think there are going to be some distributions where they get, people get paid back for pennies on the dollar, whatever they held there. Mount Gox is still ongoing. It was 2014. We're 10 years later, right? So anyway, you don't own those assets if they're sitting on an exchange. If you're working with us in institutional custody, you do own those assets. Those assets are in segregated wallets. They're insured. They're in your name. They're not rehypothecated. It's never commingled. All that separated out. You are a signer on those accounts, along with the wealth advisors that we have at Digital Wealth Partners. So anyway, yeah, I'm with you. And there may be a large portion of retail that do hold stuff on exchanges. But I'll say this also. All of 90% of our clients that do hold their assets on an exchange also hold large portions off the exchange in other wallets, cold wallets. And so they have an aggregate total that they hold that's larger than even just one wallet with smaller amounts in it. You could have, if you had 1 million XRP and you've got 100,000 in this wallet and 500,000 in an IRA, and then a couple 100,000 on this exchange, and then maybe 50,000 over here, that's a small bag that you're going to sell. It all rolls up to one person or one entity that manages all those accounts. That's why I don't think there's as many people that hold XRP as most people think. It's definitely not, 5.7 million. It's far less than that. Todicus, like the Roman, know what you hold, but don't let others know what you hold. Yeah, I would say that. So, it's probably really another good point that I need to touch on here, because I do think that price appreciation is coming sooner than later for a lot of people. When that happens for you and you're holding way more money than you have ever had, don't call your parents, don't call your friends. You might call your spouse, but the first person I'd be calling is my lawyer, or my estate planner, or my CPA. I would be calling a professional that I have in my circle that I trust. Ideally, it's your attorney, because you have attorney-client privilege and they're not telling anybody any of your business, right? Before you even tell your spouse or anybody else. That's who I'd be calling. So work with professionals, get yourself situated. Don't make a big fuss. The quieter you can move on the other side of price appreciation, the better off you're going to be. I have told a lot of people about XRP, and I'm sure a lot of people in the comments here has as well. I've done the same. You've got friends, and I know you've had friends already call you. Prices moved just a little bit, and they're like, "You told me about that. You must be doing really good." And that's how people are. There's other people that we have as clients that have just bought and never told a soul. They're going to be ghosts on the other side of this deal. Which I have a big heart. I want people to do really well. I want other people to get wealthy with me. Because it would suck if you made $100 million and nobody else made any money around you, and you call them and you want to go hop on a private jet and fly to the Caymans and take a week, and nobody can go with you because they got to work. Like, dang, man, like why did I come into all this money and just for, me, now I got to pay for everybody else too if I want them to come along with me. I'd rather everybody be an equal and a peer and be able to pay for dinner, swap out, nobody feels lesser than or like they don't belong. Which, is another great part of the mastermind, right? Like, not to shill that, but just super excited for the community there. All those people hold significant amounts, whatever that means for them, of digital assets. They will be able to retire off of the investments that they've made and be able to travel together and do things and talk about like-minded stuff and do deals and just be a really cool group of people, to be able to go and do things with. If you don't have a social group that has as much XRP as you or some of these other digital assets that are going to do really well, you're already isolated now, right? Like a lot of people feel like I'm ostracized. I can't really talk about this with my family or my friends. They think I'm crazy. And then on the other side of it, they're like, oh, you did really well. Just anyway, things to think about. And I would encourage people to get in a group of like-minded people that are all going to experience something similar to them. It just helps, right? So if you all want to go check that out, it is mastermind.beyondbroke.com. You can check it out and use the discount code to get in, free month, try it out. It is Beyond Broke, all capitalized, the number 1, and then MO, get you a free month at Carbon One or Social. And that is going to change post price appreciation. We're raising the prices 10x and we're locking it down for 30 days. So nobody else will be able to get in, and we're completely changing the criteria there to make sure that it's much more secure. Right now, you just go friend me on LinkedIn. It's pretty simple. Go check you out before we approve you. But on the other side of it, we're doing background checks and a bunch of other things because we do want to protect the community there, and we are leery that other people may want to, may not have the best intentions on the other side of price appreciation. So go check that out. Love to have you in there. The other thing I would say, and what we do for the families that we work with, is we will put together a financial committee and a board of advisors or a family board. And you're going to have people come out of the woodwork and ask you for money. I guarantee you. Even if you didn't tell anybody, you're going to be buying a home or a vehicle. They're just going to be signs, right? Like, I'm not going to tell anybody, but there'll be signs. And eventually somebody's going to find out if they don't already know, and they're going to come ask you for money. And in that situation, I think it's a really good idea to have a financial committee set up or somebody else managing your money that you trust, some professionals that you've chosen. It doesn't have to be Digital Wealth Partners. It could be, again, you may have other lasting relationships with people. I just want you to have some professionals, right? And the reason for that is when they come asking for money, you say, absolutely, we would love to invest in whatever your business is or your project or the debt that you're looking to borrow. If you can put together a prospectus or a business plan, and if you want to send that over to our financial folks, they will look at it. And as long as it meets the criteria for how we invest our capital, then we would love to make the allocation. And then it's not a no. You're not rude. You want to, right? But it's your professionals that you've hired to make sure that you're making good choices with your money. They get to tell them no, basically. And maybe they put together a really good business plan. Maybe it's a great prospectus and it's a killer deal and you do make the investment, right? But in most circumstances, they won't ever even do that. They won't ever put anything together, and it'll just fall to the wayside. I would say 90% of the time it ends up that way. But if they are family, again, it's not wrong to take care of family. It's not wrong to take care of friends. Just be cautious when doing that, and know if you don't do it as a loan. Okay, do it as a gift, because you're not going to get it back anyway. Don't loan it out to them. Just give it to them as a gift and say, hey, you don't owe me anything. You were here for me for da-da-da. This is yours. And make sure you file your Form 709 with the IRS. And they get a gift. It comes out of your lifetime gift tax of $13.6 million here in the U.S. And you can take care of them that way, right? And then they don't owe you anything. And it's not expected that they pay you back. And if you do make a loan to family, make sure there's some hard collateral. I've talked about this before, but if we, my son decides he wants to hit it big and, buy a piece of real estate or buy a business or something, we won't finance his startup. Nope. I'll introduce you to my VC buddies. And if you want to pitch them or go work somewhere and raise enough capital to bootstrap it and get it off the ground and scale it, awesome. But we're not invested in that. If you want to buy a business or you're going to go buy some real estate, cool. But you got to bring 20% down and we'll finance it to you at like 2 below prime. So if it's 5% interest, maybe we'll finance it at 3% interest for him, but he's got to bring 20% down for whatever the business is or the piece of real estate. And if he wants to go get an SBA loan for the other part of it or whatever he wants to do, right? As long as he's not lying, cheating, or stealing, then I'm cool with it. But those are the circumstances. We just, again, want to make sure that he has the financial education to make good choices. And when we do lend out money, there's hard assets that we can sell off if he doesn't make good on his promises. So you can say that's mean. I'm also, life insurance policy for the kiddos so that they can borrow against it, $1 million in cash, whatever they want to do, new home, first home, vehicles, expenses, start a business, whatever it is. No skin off my nose. It pays itself back. That's the way I look at that. So anyway, I've been rambling on here. We'll go ahead and get back into the questions. Let's see. Did I miss anything? I'm missing lots of stuff over here on TikTok. I appreciate you, Brooke. She's going back and forth with everybody here in the chat. What type of attorney would you call? A business attorney or a tax attorney would be the two types of attorneys that I would be looking for right now previous to price appreciation. We do have those at Digital Ascension Group and Digital Family Office. If that's something you're interested in, schedule a consult with us. We're happy to make referrals to people that we know are good, trusted, competent parties. That website's digitalfamilyoffice.io. I don't think I said that earlier. So let's see here. We got Rise Gaming. I'm using Uphold, and they have some of my XRP on hold when I was trying to transfer it to my cold wallet saying it's being reviewed. Have you ever had this happen? Yes. Uphold, they actually reached out. We may end up doing a promotion for them. They were around while, XRP and was kind of up in the air if it was a security or not. And they did continue selling that. They had their securities license to be able to do so, irrespective, so it didn't really matter. But they did support the community during that time. And I know that there's a lot of people, Coinbase, Uphold, both, that have had their stuff locked on there and can't get it off. So Kraken is another exchange that I use frequently. Great guys over there. If you guys need a contact and you are going to be doing larger amounts, happy to make some referrals there. Same thing with Uphold. If you do need a contact to try to get your stuff unlocked, happy to make a referral. We do have contacts there as well. You might also reach out to Ray Fuentes. I believe that he's got some people there that he's worked with to be able to help individuals like yourself in that situation. Let's see here. Love you mucho, Ray, if you're watching. Did I miss another super chat here? Hold on. No, it's Alfredo. Here's one. We got Becky. She says, hey, Jake. Hey, ma'am. Do you have an approximate or maybe a ballpark estimate of cost to set up an asset protection trust in the state of Wyoming? Yeah, it's going to be on the bare bones low end. Not our attorneys, a different one might be somewhere around $15,000 if you had it done right. Our attorneys are most of the time they're somewhere between $18,000 and $25,000 to get the asset protection trust in Wyoming established. And if you want all the bells and whistles and another LLC inside of it, it might be even a little bit more than that. We're looking to set up a package deal for all of the entities for clients. Not sure what exactly that's going to be. in total cost, but the idea would be to have an asset protection trust with an LLC inside of it and an LLC outside of it, a C Corp that manages those, that does not own equity, two living trusts for you and your spouse that manage the C Corp and take profits off of that for managing the assets in either one of these entities. And then, DWP, if you had a wealth advisor, would sit up there to advise the C Corp. And then you could spin off, separate entities underneath that and other trusts to, hold real estate or private equity or other types of investments that you might make. That tends to be the most tax efficient structure when you're managing north of 20 million in assets and you have significant cash flows off of those. There's a video that we have in the mastermind of what that structure looks like and the reasoning behind all of that. If you want a deeper dive on it, I believe that is in the Carbon 2 section on the mastermind for people. Let's see here. Jared, he says, hey, Jake, what do you think will happen to XRP memes? Being denominated in XRP makes it tricky, especially after price appreciation. Also, how will regs affect both XRP and other chains memes? Hawk Tua rugging all those people with Hawk Coin. I've seen a lot of people come out and say that they mortgaged their home and did a bunch of crazy stuff because they believed in it and then they got rugged. I feel like that's kind of the last straw. I think we are going to see some regulation around memes. I don't think they're going to go away. Ben, can't think of Ben's last name. You would know him. He's on Bitcoin Ben, had a big YouTube channel and there was a falling out. He fights in karate combat. Anyway, he was on a podcast the other day and I actually think he made a lot of sense with this. He thinks that memes are going to end up like pink sheets or penny stocks. They'll still be this kind of quasi-regulated asset class where people speculate on stuff, but it's not going to be the craze that it has been up to this point. I do think you'll see ICOs and new token launches, and it'll be done in a regulated way, and you might get a safe harbor period. We talked to Hester Pierce about that earlier this year. And anyway, yeah, I don't think they go away, but I do think they become a lot less prevalent, and I do think there is some type of regulation that gets rolled out around them. As far as memes on the XRPL, I know people making money on them. I don't play with that stuff. It's not my game. Can you make a lot of money in a very short period of time? Absolutely. Can you lose a lot of money in a very short period of time? Absolutely. It's gambling to me. I like just dollar cost averaging on sure bets that I know are going to appreciate. And then same thing on the other side of price appreciation. I'm looking to put that capital to work in boring, known outcome, reasonable asymmetric bets with intelligent people that have a track record, right? Again, I'm probably an old fuddy-dud on that stuff. But again, there's money to be made there. It's just not going to be at my expense. And I do think it sticks around. I just don't know what exactly it looks like on the other side of regulation, which I do think is coming soon. Let's see here. D. Tidwell says, hey, Jake, DAG set up my LLC. Awesome. Glad that you were proactive and have it in place. If I bought crypto and Uphold before my LLC, can I still funnel profits back through and get the tax benefits? Yes. So you would want to make sure that the profits that you take off of those tokens that you sell go back to a business account. The bank account is in the business's name, even if it's attached to your personal exchange account. So you could move money from that wallet that's in the business's name that you now have in there into your personal exchange account. You just want to make sure, again, that the money, when you withdraw it from the exchange, goes into your business bank account. It's not the cleanest accounting in the world, but it would work. Again, since you are the manager of the LLC and it's a single member LLC, you know, kind of like your accountant's going to slap you on the wrist and say, don't do that. But it's not going to hurt anything if you do it. The accounting will be clean enough. So, but again, just make sure those profits end up in a business bank account off of the exchange, and you should be good to go to be able to use those funds to pay yourself dividends or purchase a vehicle or set up a life insurance policy or use whatever other part of the tax code you need to be able to offset that taxable income. And again, our advisors would be more than happy to help you with that when the time comes. Already on for a little over an hour. Appreciate you guys hanging out. I haven't said this yet, but if you do like this content, if you think this is valuable, please like, subscribe, share. It does help the algorithm and push it out to other people. And, any support is appreciated here on the channel. It does help us grow. And, again, just here to, help people and provide value. And been doing this for over 2 years now. Almost 3 years. I started out on Twitter doing Saturday morning spaces, and I did those for like 8 months straight, just talking on there about a lot of this stuff. And then, we started the mastermind. It'll be 2 years ago, which is crazy to me. January 6th will be our 2-year anniversary for the mastermind. We have over 1,000 people in there. So again, you're going to find a friend. You're going to find people with aligned interests that are like-minded, that have an allocation to digital assets that you can talk about all this stuff with, because they're going to get rich with you. It's not going to be, your neighbor that you don't want them to know that you have money. And they'll be able to go, travel and do stuff and take trips and make investments and pay their way. And just really excited for the opportunities on the other side of price appreciation. Even now, we've had some of price appreciation, and we do quarterly events for the group there in real life. Some of those have been here in Dallas. We did Lake Tahoe earlier this year for the Carbon 2 group. Had a lot of families up there together, children playing, going to restaurants, enjoying the lake. Really cool place. If you haven't been to Lake Tahoe, I would encourage you to go. And we'll continue to do those. And on the other side of price appreciation, I think the destinations will get a little bit more exotic, which will be fun. Big G says, hey, Jake, you expect sanctions on Tether. What's to say the market will look to USDC to replace it instead of RUSD, especially as a big player or invested in Circle? I think Circle is well positioned for that, but the liquidity on USDC is very small in comparison to Tether. I think that XRP will take the place of Tether for as far as liquidity and moving value on exchanges. If there is an ICE 9 event for Tether. But I the other piece of that is, and I don't think RLUSD really comes in and is a huge market cap. I think you're going to see the issuance of stablecoins by huge entities that have mega adoption on the XRPL. So you already have a Google wallet. You already have an Apple wallet. Your bank accounts have already been changed to digital wallets over the past 4 years here since 2020. A lot of those institutions are just going to issue stablecoins of their own and back them with U.S. treasuries and incentivize you to hold them and pay you a certain rate to do so. Just like they do with credit cards, you get rewards for spending, certain people's credit cards, cash back. I think that they'll do the same thing for stable coins. And there'll be smart contracts associated with those to be able to do that. You'll be able to track, where you're spending the stable coins, and it'll appropriate the cash back based on your purchases. They also might ding you, if it's a CBDC. I don't think we'll have that here in the US, but other countries will. Like if you're spending it on alcohol or something else, they might not be worth as much. You might disincentivize people to spend money in certain sectors of the economy. But I think all of that will end up issued on the XRPL and provide a lot of liquidity to XRP. And, you'll have tons of AMMs and other liquidity pools that are issued on the network between those stablecoins and XRP for different markets. So USDC is not on XRP. It's on XLM. I think it's more of a retail-facing product. I don't think that it's going to be used at scale for large value payments, and that's the reason I think some of these other stablecoins are going to step in and take the place of Tether in that circumstance rather than USDC. No, already did this one. Let's see. Oh wow, here we go. Appreciate you guys on the super chat. Lele, man, I messed that up. I'm sorry. Leke says, hey, Jake, can you earn a yield when your assets go into custody anchorage? Do they custody XDC? We're pushing them to custody XDC, XLM, and HBAR. We've been told Q1. We've been told Q1 for a lot of things, though. So just take that with a grain of salt. We've got enough demand for that. We're pushing them for it. We would like to work with Archax, who holds all those things. If they will get some insurance, I need to talk to Graham about that. But anyway, we would love to be able to provide custody for those there at Anchorage, but we don't currently have that capability. Basically, any EVM token all day long, but not XDC, XLM, or HBAR as of yet. Can you earn yield? We have multiple strategies that we are working on currently. I had a lot of calls today about some of those strategies to be able to earn yield on XRP. We do have a couple ways to do it. It's a little more difficult with retail accounts versus accredited investors or qualified purchasers. We deal with a lot of high net worth individuals that have enough liquidity and meet those requirements to be able to participate in certain things. But we do have a lot of retail clients as well that are somewhere around the minimum now is 500,000 to be able to work with digital wealth partners in current value, and that's kind of the threshold of where we're able to earn yield on assets. So anyway, I would email them. I would email info@digitalwealthpartners with an s.net, and they can send you the different ways that you'd be able to earn yield based on where you sit and your current net worth. And thank you for the super chat. It is much appreciated. Samus says, is RUSD already baked into the current price of XRP? No. Can you please recommend a book about paying the least amount of taxes? A book about paying the least amount of taxes. I would just go check out YouTube, to be honest with you. There is Mark Kohler is great. In the mastermind, I've got a full list of channels on business law and taxes that I follow, that I've garnered a lot of my information from. Tax attorneys, they geek out on all this stuff. We also work with a lot of tax attorneys through Digital Wealth Partners and Digital Family Office. And so just again, in conversations with them, I've picked up a lot over the past 4 years here. I am not a CPA myself. I am not a tax advisor. I talk about a lot of these things, but you do want to clarify a lot of that with your CPA because tax laws do change. When Trump gets back in, everybody's hoping that we get the 100% depreciation on heavy equipment and other things, and they go back to that level. Maybe he'll grandfather it and backdate it. Maybe he won't. Just depends, right? So I know a lot of people are holding off to buy a vehicle until after the inauguration because they're hoping that he'll reinstate that 100% deduction or depreciation against the heavy equipment, anything over 6,000 pounds under Section 179 of the tax code. You also have software under Section 179 of the tax code, which depending on what type of business you're running, if you're purchasing digital assets, you might be able to write off your investment. If you anticipate using the token itself to be able to operate your business in some capacity, we work with a few payment processors, and they've purchased a large amount of XRP and XLM in anticipation of needing those tokens for their business, which is interesting. And then, here's another one that I haven't talked about in a long time is the Augusta rule. So you can rent your home to your business to throw a party or an event or gathering for employees of your business up to 14 times a year. And you can make payments from your business account to your personal account for each one of those. You do want to make sure that that is close to whatever an Airbnb in your area that is equivalent to your home rents for on a daily basis. But all of that is tax deductible, basically income in your pocket. You can do that up to 14 times a year tax-free to you as the individual. So, if you buy a super nice house on the other side of price appreciation and you rent it to your business and for your employees to have a gathering 14 times a year, and you charge your business $2,000 each time, that's about $28,000 a year that you can take home tax-free out of your business. Anyway, that more than pays for the mastermind. I'm just saying. Let's see here. People at work are tired of hearing me. Besides a few that see the obvious, they are still reluctant to make a move. I'll say this. I have told around 2,000 people over the past 4 years. And obviously, I get on here and have a lot of conversations with great people like yourselves, do these lives and answer a lot of questions. But specifically, had conversations with around 2,000 people, and 200 of those people took me serious enough to throw $500 or $1,000 in it. Just let it ride. Cool. We'll see if it does anything. That that's enough to really make a dent, make a difference in my life. And then there were about 20 people that I told them, and then they went and researched, and they were like, "This is it, man. You were right. This is crazy." They get that crazy look in their eye, like we all have. So it's 1%. That's really what it's going to end up being, that really figure it out and it's legitimized in their mind and they get it. 1 in 100 people has kind of been my experience. So if you haven't told 100 people yet and you hadn't had anybody geek out on it and figure it out, you're not alone. I think most people, again, I kind of encourage people, if you keep it close, and if you don't want to be very public about it, I wouldn't tell a whole lot of people. So let's see here. This X Factor says, when you loan a friend money, you don't lose the money, but you not only lose the money, but you also lose a friend. I think that's different when you're dealing with wealthy individuals. I really haven't had that same experience. I would say it this way. I do business with people that become friends. People that were friends before the business don't tend to go well. So there's been a lot of clients or other people that I've worked with that I've done business with that have become friends, and that's been okay on the money side. But I think that was just kind of an understanding and built into the relationship versus your buddy from high school that you loaned some money to, or your brother, or there's just, like you said, you may not, that relationship might end if you loan it to them and don't just give it to them. So my recommendation is, again, just say, hey, here's a gift. Don't feel like you owe me back. Here it is. If you are going to try to take care of people in that capacity. We are coming up on an hour and a half here, so I'm going to scroll on down here to the bottom, make sure I don't miss any super chats. We have a pound here. Thank you, Storm Striker. It is very early where you are if you're paying in pounds, so I appreciate you taking out time in your morning to hop on here and ask a question. He says, help. Those other crypto YouTubers make videos of prices by the end of 2025, 2026. Some give very low and some give very high prices. What's your opinion? I'm going to assume you're asking about XRP. If you're talking about the broader crypto market, I think everything is up and to the right. Not everything. I do think there's going to be a lot of things that get wiped out on the other side of Tether and regulations. I think that there's going to be about, somewhere between 70 and 90 networks that end up lasting over the long term, that are around today, similar to when the .com bubble collapsed on itself. You have people like Amazon and Yahoo and some others that were around then that are still around today, but there's very few and far between. I think it's going to be the same thing for crypto networks. A lot of them are just going to get regulated out of existence, and a lot of them, when Tether gets pulled, they're not going to have enough liquidity to survive. But aside from that, the ones that do, I think, see significant adoption, significant upside, anything with utility in a specific use case or enough adoption by enterprises for certain applications, or governments for certain applications, I think are going to do really well. The people that say low prices for some of these utility-driven assets, they're just looking at TA, and they're expecting the constraints that have existed around the previous cycles to continue during this one. And if the constraints remain the same, they're going to be proven right? If nothing changes for XRP, so let's say ETFs didn't happen, I don't think we would even be at the prices we're at right now if the ETFs haven't been announced. I think the volume and the price appreciation you've seen on XRP is specifically driven by institutions buying up the supply to be able to support spot ETFs. I don't think the price rally that we've seen up to this point has been retail driven at all. So with that, I think that the ETFs are going to cause, again, a large amount of demand for XRP in a very short period of time with not a whole lot of supply on exchanges. And I think you'll see a supply shock when that demand gets rolled out. And the people that are holding XRP, so that's the other piece, the XRP community, like people here have been here for a long time, and they're diehard, and they're not letting it go for anything less than what they think it's worth. Right. So that's another thing that'll drive price really high. If there are, 9 billion that's held by retail ain't letting that go easy. Now there'll be some people that got in here recently that dump at $3, $5, $10 on the way up. But I mean, most people are here for 50, 100, 1,000, whatever it is, similar to people that held Bitcoin early on that figured out what it was. And they were like, not letting this go. Like, I'm just going to hold it. And so as supply dips and demand increases, you're going to see price appreciation. I think utility and prices there for that, price stability will happen and be maintained at higher levels, which a lot of people anticipate, it falling back down after it appreciates. Even BCB, I really like Blockchain Backer. Brilliant when it comes to TA. But he models everything that he sees in the charts off of previous price appreciation and previous price action. And if the constraints around this market change, then the charts are going to change. They're going to look very different than they have in the past. So, I would say it goes one of two ways. If you think we're going to get regulation and you think that there's going to be utility of some of these networks and assets in real world applications, the dynamics and constraints around the market change, and you're going to be seeing much higher prices for some of these assets than some of these, TA people are telling you. If constraints don't change, we don't get ETFs for XRP, you don't see any of the utility for these networks or adoption for stablecoins or some of the other stuff that we've talked about this evening, then much lower prices are going to be in the forecast for stuff. So both could be right, but again, I tend to lean toward the side of adoption, regulation, implementation, stablecoins, all that stuff, and with that would come much higher prices. We've got Zenos. Is it Zeno? Appreciate the insight, effort, and candor. Thank you. Do you see the top 2% by XRP Rich List greater than 30,000? Is that what let's see here. Yeah, we got top 2% is, 30. Well, actually, it's right on the nut there, 30,000. As likely to merit a Wyoming LLC, trust, etc. I do, yeah. So it depends on if you're single or married. A lot of people ask when the best time to set up an LLC is or when it makes sense. I think when your portfolio gets north of about $50,000 worth of assets, if you're single, $80,000 worth of assets if you're married, that becomes a very good time to go ahead and establish an LLC. because it's likely that you're going to continue to see appreciation on those assets, and also likely that you probably want to take some profit. And if that's the case, having them inside of an LLC on the way up allows you the full breadth of the tax code. You have accounts set up, you have an exchange account set up, you have bank accounts set up. Prior to that price appreciation, you don't have to rush around and be frantic. I like to be proactive, have things set it, know my plan, be able to execute when the time comes. So yeah, 30,000 XRP is going to be, $60, $70, $80,000 right now. That's a perfect range to go ahead and establish an LLC. We do that for people, been advocating for that for years. So you can go check out digitalfamilyoffice.io, and there is a service on there to set up the LLC. And I'll give you guys the discount code. Most of the time we require that you're in the mastermind. Again, we do a lot for the people that are in the mastermind, give them discounts on a lot of things. But for you guys tonight, if you do want to set up an LLC, it's as advertised $3,000 there on the website. But if you put in 50 off, the word OFF off, DAG, like Digital Ascension Group, LLC, all capitalized, it will get you half off of that, and it's $1,500 to set up an LLC with us. And you get registered agent, EIN number, articles of organization. We were filing the BOIR, but we've paused that now that we have the ruling from the state of Texas. Certificate of good standing, and the biggest cost if you went to an attorney for this, which is going to be the operating agreement. All of that done for you. Don't have to worry about it. I say that the operating agreement is a template, so you still have to fill that out, but it's pretty simple. You just fill in all the stuff, and we will walk you through. We have an SOP of exactly how to move your assets into the LLC, what that looks like, we have a tutorial on how to go set up a bank account, all those things specific to a holding company for digital assets. And we're drafting some documentation for a trading company for digital assets, because that's been a topic of conversation from 5 or 6 people in our mastermind. And so we listen to the people when they need it. And if you want to set up a trading LLC, which is a different NAICS code, we will have an operating agreement for that here in the very near future as well. So, yeah, I look forward to working with you. And again, if you do want to work with us, you can get 50% off the LLC there. You just put in the code 50 OFF off, DAG, like dog alpha golf, all capitalized, LLC, like limited liability company, and that will knock it down to 1,500. Copy that. Thanks again. Appreciate you, brother. I'm at the bottom of my chat here, and we are an hour and a half in, so I'm probably going to take 2 more questions, and then we are going to wrap it up. Taste of Galina. She says, do you work with Canadians? We absolutely are international. That's something that I should mention more often. I would say 85% of our client base is here domestic in the US, and 15% is international. We have Canadians. We work with people in Japan, Australians, people in the UK, the UAE. We have a few people in Brazil, and like I said, Canada as well. Aaron Grinhaus, if you want to go check out, I've got a video with him where I did an interview. He is an estate planner and tax lawyer up there in Canada, deals with specific stuff around crypto, has a pedigree for that, and works with a lot of our clients to be able to establish things either offshore or in Canada or here domestic in the US if it makes sense. And we work with them on the wealth management side for their assets at Digital Wealth Partners, using whatever entity he helps them establish, depending on what they want to do post price appreciation. So yeah, actually had a call this morning with a group in the UAE. We have information from them to be able to establish, companies there. If people are in the UK or Singapore or Australia, and you have an interest in establishing a presence there in Dubai or anywhere in the UAE, we can get you in there and work with those estate planners to move your assets prior to price appreciation, get them offshore. if it's anything under the Commonwealth, they're going to try to get theirs. We do have estate planners in Australia there as well, and in the UK to be able to help people set things up in Portugal, Nevis, Jordan, again, the Cook Islands, basically any of the tax havens, Caymans, BVI. We have people there as well, New Zealand also. So anyway, yeah, if you are international and you do want to reach out and work with us, happy to do that, and would love to help you if that makes sense. We'll go ahead and take one more questions here. Black Excellence says, what draws you to using both Caleb & Brown and Anchorage for exit strategy when only Anchorage is insured? Caleb & Brown is a broker, and they're a white glove service. Australia has the most stringent financial laws globally. Okay, so even more than New York and the BIT license. For Caleb & Brown to be operating in Australia, we know that they are extremely above board and have very high level of security. They are a broker. They're not a custodian. So I wouldn't recommend holding anything on their platform that you don't want to trade or liquidate. But they are a good partner for us, and they do, they really do provide a really good service. They do charge a premium on their fees. Working with us to hold your assets and trade them inside of Anchorage, if you're going to take profit, is way cheaper, like way cheaper. Even the AUM fee that we charge plus the sell fee is going to be 1/5 of what Caleb & Brown charges. They're charged 3% on transactions. The AUM fee that we charge people for 10 million or more is 40 basis points. And then there's no spread and only 20 basis points on any trade done for, it doesn't matter the size of the trade either. You could trade $100. It's still only 20 basis points when it's done inside institutional custody. So Big D says 50 off DAG LLC. That's correct. But it's going to be capitalized off as well. So 50, all capitals, OFF, DAG, LLC. Will XRP go up to $4 or more? Can't give you financial advice, but I'm highly confident that it will go far beyond, way beyond $4 in very near future. Again, educational entertainment purposes only. Always consult with your financial advisor before making any investment decisions. If you want a financial advisor, you can work with Digital Wealth Partners. We have licensed advisors there that hold their 65 and can tell you that XRP is going to go north of $4, but that's not something I can say. We have a group in New Zealand that we work with. If you want to reach out to us, if you are international and you do want, somebody that you can work with, feel free to just email over info@digitalfamilyoffice.io and ask for, say, hey, my name's da-da-da, saw you on the live. I want to, hard hustle crypto here. I ask you about New Zealand, who's your advisor there, and our professionals that we work with at the family office will get you those advisors' names and email addresses so that you can reach out to them and have a conversation. Same thing with Canada. Again, UK, UAE, wherever you want to go, wherever you reside. We've worked really hard to be able to network with people globally to be able to provide good professionals in each one of those jurisdictions. With that, I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. Oh, you guys have a wonderful evening. Thank you again for joining me on a Wednesday night, hanging out. We do these every Monday and Wednesday night at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time here on YouTube and on TikTok. If you would like more of this stuff, if you think this is interesting, if you want to be a part of a group of like-minded individuals, run private deals, get access to discounts and other benefits, again, you can check out the mastermind. It is mastermind.beyondbroke.com. Check out, just put in Beyond Broke, all capitalized, the number 1, and then MO, all capitalized. Get you 1 month for free in there. Again, we're going to lock that down on the other side of $10 XRP, cutting off acceptance and really changing things up there for the better. Make sure we're protecting that group. If you're interested in the family office services, again, that's digitalfamilyoffice.io. And on the wealth management and custody side of things, that is digitalwealthpartners.net. Hope you guys have a wonderful week. Stay blessed, and we will see y'all on the next one.